A Wrinkle in Time was directed by Ava DuVernay and is the story of young Meg who loses her scientist father, played by Chris Pine. He disappears. No one knows where he is. He was experimenting with this strange idea he had that you could bend the universe and travel light years in seconds. And he vanished, and he's been gone for a long time. And when three strange beings arrive in her backyard, Mrs. Witch, Mrs. Whatsit, and Mrs. Who, Meg, her brother, and friend go off on an adventure through time and space to try to find her father. I'm a fan of Ava DuVernay. I think she's brilliant. If you saw Selma, you know that. Or The 13th, a very searing documentary that's on Netflix about racial prejudice in the prison system. She is great, and she brings a lot to the table, and some things to the table that don't really work. This is a visually stunning film sometimes. Sometimes it is also fairly horrible looking. There's no escaping it. Some of the special effects and green screen are extremely noticeable, and they're not quite as impressive as I think this film thinks they are, especially for a Disney production. Some of the visuals are stunning. Some of the real on-set locations they shot in New Zealand, the countrysides, really gorgeous stuff. There's a sequence with flowers that are like gossipers, where the flowers fly up and tell rumors about things they've seen. That's one of the best sequences in the film. But there's also a lot of very odd special effects that don't always work, like a literal giant Oprah Winfrey showing up in Meg's backyard. She didn't tesser, as they call it, correctly, and now she's really big in Meg's backyard, and Meg's just kind of looking at this Godzilla-sized Oprah Winfrey, and her reaction is kind of like, huh, well, that's kind of strange. Meg seems more surprised when Reese Witherspoon is able to turn around in circles and change her outfit and then become something else, which is also very surprising. But, I mean, a giant Oprah Winfrey is also, that's pretty startling, I'd say. If I saw that in my backyard, I'd shit my pants. I'd be like, hey, I really liked your interview with Michael Jackson. You're a lot taller in person. There are some very touching scenes, most of them involving this family. In the opening, you really do feel a sense of warmth in their household, and when her father disappears, I felt really bad for her. It was captured very authentically. But the interim from first act to third act is so jumbled, it's so messy. It reminded me of a film called Lady in the Water. I've always respected Lady in the Water. It's not one of Shyamalan's best films. A lot of critics called it one of the worst films ever made. But it was an original film based off of Shyamalan's bedtime story. It wasn't based off of anything else. And it was also, similar to A Wrinkle in Time, one of those everything but the kitchen sink movies that kind of just throws everything at the screen and sees what sticks. And I will always respect a filmmaker like Shyamalan or Ava DuVernay who does not play it safe, who makes a film that's very odd, that a lot of people won't like. And I do respect Ava DuVernay for that, but that doesn't mean the film's any good. It's a very, very disappointing film. It didn't really feel like it had a human touch after the first act. It was just a lot of really wow sequences that didn't really land with the type of punch I think they wanted them to. Now, I don't like to be too critical of child performances in films, but I am critical when an adult filmmaker relies quite heavily and quite especially on the performance of a young person. Now, Storm Reid, who plays Meg, is fairly good in this movie, especially in some of the more emotional scenes. She doesn't really show a lot of surprise when these awe-inspiring things are happening before her eyes, which was a little strange to me, but she is very good as an awkward young girl who is not comfortable with her own self yet. It's one of the major themes of the film, and a lot of kids will learn good things from that. But her younger brother, Charles Wallace is the character, didn't work for me. I thought he was very bad in the film, and I feel bad saying that, but I didn't. The film relies quite a bit on him, and there's a lot of really heavy close-ups, especially toward the third act, and I didn't think it worked. There is a chance that young kids today will see this movie, and it will be like their Hook. Critics saw Hook in '91 and hated it. Kids from that era love it. This could be this kid generation's Hook for all we know. But it reminded me of Lady in the Water, a film that I respected but was very messy. I'm going to give A Wrinkle in Time a C-. This was disappointing. I really wanted to like this film, but it just didn't work for me. I'm curious to see what Ava DuVernay does next because I think she's great, and a lot of this cast is also great, but this film was just discombobulated. Guys, thank you very much as always for watching. Look forward to more reviews very soon, and if you like this, you can click right here and get Stuckmanized.